Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean. Merry Christmas Eve out there to everyone who is celebrating the holiday. Hopefully, you're able to get some time away from your daily obligations and responsibilities and maybe just get to relax. Enjoy your time with the family and just relax with a little bit of coffee, a little bit of eggnog, a little bit of tea, whatever it is you're doing and however you want to celebrate. I do thank you guys for being a part of the channel. I do thank you everyone for stopping by today and just making me a part of your holiday. We are here, of course, to discuss the Wolves match on Boxing Day. United travel to play Wolves. We don't travel very well, we know that, but we are here to preview that. Hopefully we're all feeling a little better after that shit show against Bournemouth. Maybe last night's Q&A Christmas giveaway helped. That was fun. Thank you for everybody for getting involved. Patrick United and Usman, you were the winners of the shirt, so get at me at unitedstatesofunited@gmail.com. I can pop those in the post and let you know what's going on there. I think as far as Bournemouth goes, I think what's keeping me from fully moving on, because I feel better, right? I'm not as angry, but I'm still very frustrated. What's keeping me from moving on, right, honestly, is just the complete lack of confidence I have in this United squad. The players just aren't doing it. Slash, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you. Hopefully you're enjoying your day. Nick as well. How are you, Nick? Good to see you, my friend. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you. And as far as, so I'm not confident in this squad. It's not about Amorim. It's not even necessarily about Wolves. It's about the United players and what we've seen so far. I'm not confident that we're going to get a bounce back on Thursday. And I feel like we always seem to play Wolves right when they get a new manager. We did it with Gary O'Neill. We're doing it now. New manager bounce is a thing, you guys, and we always seem to get stuck with it. But in any case, we are here to preview the match. We're talk a little bit of team news, a little bit of tactics. We're going to go through Ruben Amorim's presser because it was an interesting press conference this time for once. Once you filter out all the digging and the fishing from the press and the pressure from Marcus Rashford related questions, there's actually some good stuff in there. So we're going to talk about that. I want your predictions. I want your thoughts. Touch on a little bit of transfer news to start, since there's never a quiet day as a United fan. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, hit the notification bell, and you may have noticed right off the bat there are a few different things maybe on your screen, and that's because now we're able to offer things like memberships and whatnot now. So you can go check some of those out if you get a chance. If it's something you're interested in, you want to be a little bit more a part of the channel in that regard. Different membership levels, different perks for each one. It's really just a way for me to try to find fun ways to give back to you guys and get everybody more involved. So there's no obligation, of course, but feel free to indulge in that if it's something you feel compelled to do. Not a problem. But that is something that's coming to the channel a little different now. So glad to be able to do that. Thank you guys for helping us get to that point and just helping the channel grow and reach, where we are today. Hopefully we can keep going. I'm really looking forward to doing some interesting stuff. When I'm over in Manchester in a couple weeks, mid-January, with my buddy Justin, I'd love to be able to do some vlogs there, maybe do some kind of live streams, maybe some live events, as I'm walking around Old Trafford as we're at the match and stuff. So hopefully we can kind of bring you guys along in that way. So I think that could be really fun. Bandomac, good to see you again. Hi, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Good to see you. So let's get stuck in, starting with a little bit of transfer news. So it's coming from Graham Bailey. So according to Graham Bailey, remember we talked a little bit last night about Victor Osimhen, some reports coming out that we might be interested. The deal's complicated. Obviously, he's on loan at Galatasaray, still a Napoli player. Well, Graham Bailey has chimed in today and said United have been offered the chance to sign Victor Osimhen in January, and Napoli are now open to a player exchange deal. Now, remember, this is news. We're just talking about it. We did discuss the other day that Napoli are reportedly one of the clubs interested in nabbing Harry Maguire on a free. Maybe there's a chance to get something over the line now. If Harry Maguire is a player Napoli really like, and they don't want to wait till the summer and get into a bidding war, they could do that, or they could lock him in now. But I think maybe we can make something happen ahead of time, but we'll see. I did read, though, this morning, too, that apparently Leicester are also interested in Maguire right now. So it's interesting. His wages do make it hard for someone like Leicester, but there's a lot of interest apparently in Harry Maguire. Remember, Galatasaray were also a club that was interested. Osimhen, though, currently on loan at Galatasaray, doing just fine in the Turkish Super League, 9 goals in 11 matches. Problem is, we can't really, I don't think we're going to be in a position to pay a flat fee for Victor Osimhen. I think they want like £60 million or something. It's going to depend a lot on outgoings. And I know that there are some people that say, we have the funds, we have the funds. I don't necessarily think we do, but we'll see what happens. Bailey goes on to claim that Napoli would take a player plus cash deal, though. Reportedly, Joshua Zirkzee and even Marcus Rashford are players that Napoli holds an interest in. Remember, Antonio Conte is their manager at the moment. Zirkzee seems like maybe a Conte-type player. I think we can all agree that Rashford's probably already gone for all intents and purposes. But the question I have, and I put it out there a little bit last night too, is Victor Osimhen a player that you guys want? Does he suit what we're looking for? Does he make sense for United? Is he a player that moves the needle? Is he someone that we should prioritize in January? Is it someone that you think could make a difference in January towards finishing bottom half, towards pushing towards Europa League? I'm pretty sure they got rid of the cup tie rule a few years back as far as UEFA competition. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be an issue. But again, does Osimhen fit the bill? Does he make the difference between now and the end of the season? Does he fit the system? Is there another position you'd prioritize in January? Another player even you'd prioritize in January? You guys let me know. Danny B jumping back in. Hopefully, sounds like you made it to New Jersey safe and sound, my friend. Thank you for letting us know. But thank you, big up. Good to see you this morning. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their Christmas. And Danny B says, Happy Christmas. Yes, it is Happy Christmas. Christmas came early last night to everybody who stopped by. We did do that fun Christmas Q&A giveaway. We did give away a couple of shirts to people. So hopefully Patrick and Usman will get at me and we can get them their shirts, and Christmas can come early for them. Danny B says, if we can get him in January, do it. Left wing back the priority, but probably prefer Gyökeres. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I am starting to think maybe we need a striker who's a little older or even maybe a little more developed. Not because I don't like Højlund. I think Højlund will definitely get there. It's because I don't have any confidence in Joshua Zirkzee. I just don't see it there. I already had questions early on. He had that decent game against Everton. Things were clicking, but you're not going to play Everton every week, and I don't think that Zirkzee does it for us. So if there was a way we can maybe work that out, I would not be opposed to a striker at all. Danny says snow followed us from Boston. Oh, yeah, we got a little snow last night here too. Not too much. It's mostly just slush now, but yeah, it is that time of the year. Hopefully it's not too cold in Manchester when I'm there. I know it doesn't tend to get as bad as it does here in the Midwest, but we will see. It was crazy snow when I was there. My first time there, we got there on a Thursday, went to a Europa League match against Real Betis. It was cold. It was snowy. The snow was fast, thick, horizontal. It was rough walking back. I don't know if you guys remember that match, watching it on TV. You could see how bad the snow was. It's what we had to walk back to the hotel in after the match. It was not fun, but Danny says he would take Osimhen in January if the option's there. If it involves maybe moving on a player like Dallo, moving on a player like Rashford, I would not be opposed to it. It's quick, like for like, it improves us, and financially it's almost a wash. So I'm not opposed to it, but you guys let me know what you've got going on. We're going to dive into this match preview here. Please like the video and subscribe if you are new as well. So on Wolves haven't had a good time of it in recent weeks. They're currently 18th. They're 2 points from safety, so they're in relegation form right now. Hold on, Danny's got a question. What do you think of Katamo at Sporting? He's the one who plays on their left wing back, right? The left back. I read that we were linked to him. Honestly, I've only watched Sporting in highlights and in Champions League, just because I don't get the channel. So I can't say for certainty that I've seen a whole lot of Katamo. He is highly rated. If I look him up right now on FBref, I can see what he's rated at here. So yeah, okay, so that's insane. So just a quick, this is where I get all my percentiles, right, on FBref. I'm looking up him right now. So progressive carries, take-ons, touches, and attacking penalty or passes received, all literally in the top percentile. shot creating actions. He could be good. He could be a really good problem solver. I know that there's going to be a bit of criticism when it comes to Amorim if we sign as a former Sporting player because everybody gave Ten Hag the same stick. It does seem like a lot of people are would give Amorim a little bit more leeway there because they seem to like Amorim more than they like Ten Hag. Take that what it is. Um, Danny says, same pal. Yeah, young, cheap. Yeah, I mean, if they're a player that we've looked at, if they're a player that we like, if they're a player that fits the system that improves us and someone that Amorim wants, then that's to me, that's the minimal requirement, like of what it would take to sign a player and strengthen the squad. I think for too long, obviously under the Glazers, we signed these big names. Obviously, we've sacked so many managers. We've still got to work with a Frankenstein squad. It is what it is. So it's on paper, he looks good. I would have to watch a little bit more of him, but maybe it's someone I could do a scouting report on and maybe let everybody know a little bit more. But interesting. So back to Wolves. So Wolves, again, in relegation zone right now, 2 points from safety. 2 wins in the league this season for Wolves. 3 wins total in their last 26 is not a good look. I told you guys, new manager bounce. Gary O'Neill kind of tapered off. They were on a run of 4 straight losses until recently, culminating in, remember, tempers flaring after full time against Ipswich. Saw Nori got a second yellow, was sent off in that match. Cunha potentially faces a ban. I haven't yet seen the updates on that after he got into a little bit of a melee with the Ipswich coach, like took his glasses and whatnot. I know he was provisionally given a ban. He had to appeal it. I haven't seen the updates. If anyone can tell me if Cunha is banned or not, let me know. He obviously played at the weekend against Leicester. But then that also saw Gary O'Neill get sacked. It seemed like it was just a low point for them altogether. Portuguese coach Vitor Pereira was appointed. I know what you're thinking. Wolves, Portuguese manager, Jorge Mendes agent? No. Yeah, I know, right? Surprise, shocking. They did beat Leicester this weekend, though, to kick off Pereira's tenure with 3 points, 3-0 over Ruben Amorim's Leicester. And they're going to host us again right in the middle of that new manager bounce. Just awesome. Love it. Danny V says Yilmaz might be another cheapish deal. I think we both can play right wing back. Yeah, remember I did that little mini scout report on Yilmaz a couple weeks ago. Plays for Galatasaray. Physical, just unit, energy, stamina to burn. So go check out that video for a little bit of the scout report on Yilmaz as well. I think he's like 24 years old, so he's a good age. Wolves right now have the worst defense in the Premier League. They've conceded 40 goals. They've conceded the most goals of any team. And they've also conceded 16 of those from set pieces. So United's like, here, hold my beer. We got you on that one. So yes, there is a team who's almost just as bad as United when it comes to goals from set pieces. They're also one of the most poorly disciplined sides. They have the highest fouls per match, 40 yellow cards this season. In fact, their keeper, Jose Sa, leads the league in penalties conceded. They're just a bit sloppy in that regard. And again, we saw those tempers flaring against Ipswich as well. Their home form is crap. 12 losses in their last 17 at Molineux. United, though, we don't tend to travel well, so I wouldn't be surprised, to see those kind of cancel each other out a little bit. Jules jumping in the chat. Welcome, Jules. Good to see you again. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, and like Bandomex says, it sounds exactly like our defense. Yeah, their set pieces defending is a shambles, but it's not as bad as ours. So we thankfully can take that trophy right now. It's anyone's guess how long it's going to take for Vitor Pereira to kind of fully implement his system. He's likely going to stick with the 3 at the back since that's kind of the formation that he likes to use. The way he goes about it, though, is a little different than Gary O'Neill. The setup is the same. The tactics are different. So instead of that kind of high press and stuff, what Vitor Pereira likes to do, he's kind of like Jose Mourinho, is that he likes to sit back, he likes to be compact, he likes to let the opposition have the ball because like Mourinho, he thinks that means all the pressure's on them, all the risk is on them, and they will pounce. Remember when he used to play FIFA, there was that setting for defenses like press on poor touch or something. It's kind of like that. They wait for the opposition to make mistakes, to leave themselves open, and then they want to take advantage of that very, very quickly. He's all about reacting to mistakes and capitalizing. Counterattack for days. He doesn't really go all out pressing, Vitor Pereira, but he will force the opposition to make mistakes. He likes to have his players cut off the space like we just saw Bournemouth do the other day. They like to force long balls, again, just like Spurs were doing. And then when they do win those balls back, they will play very quickly. They will play quick transition, very intense. They want to move the ball wide, get that counterattack going, and put balls into the box. He likes to create overloads on those wide areas, which is going to be easy since Wolves are going to play that 3-4-2-1 kind of situation. So look out for those 10s and those wingbacks to kind of double up. And then they're going to put balls in the box. And when you've got number 9s and guys like Cunha and whatnot in that area, like our Strand Larson, who is a really good number 9, they're going to feast on that kind of service. We need to do better at stopping the crosses, or at least putting pressure on those guys. And that's why you got players like Dallo and whatnot who really need to step up. We need to do better at putting more pressure on the balls in the box. So we need, maybe that's an opportunity for those traditional 9s to come in and just, our traditional center backs for United come in and just get their head on those. Maybe you just throw Evans, De Ligt, and Maguire all on at the same time and just tell them stop the balls into the box. João Gomez and Andre are going to be a handful in midfield as well. They're very physical, very energetic. They get around the pitch. They do cause teams a bit of problems. Bach says, has De Ligt got the plague or something? I mean, he was sick. I don't know if he's going to be gone for this one or not. I know he missed the last 2. I know Amorim's presser, it was hard to tell if he was referring to another match or not, but if he's not back, that's rough. I mean, I was just sick for a couple days, so I get it. It is that time of year. A lot of people I know are getting sick. It is what it is. So we'll see if he's back or not, but he has missed a couple games. Jules says, our team is currently playing like FC25 clubs, AI players. Yeah, I mean, on your own team, yeah. I get so frustrated playing that game sometimes because my midfielders, they literally just sit there. They don't do anything. The defense just stands around. They're just not doing anything. And it's been like that with EA for a while. So we're getting a little meta there, but it's really annoying. Bach says, I've always liked the type caliber of Wolves players, few gems. I mean, they're basically just Portuguese light, right? That's just George Mendes runs a show. They get these Portuguese managers to come in, other aside from Gary O'Neill. A lot of Portuguese players. They're getting a little more Brazilian flair in there now with like Cunha, Gomez, and whatnot. They've been very, very Portuguese in terms of the players they've signed. They have like this handshake agreement with George Mendes, right? It's so interesting. But Jules says, the defense on clubs, oh my word, frustrating. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know what clubs is in FC25. I literally only play manager career mode. I don't do player. I don't do ultimate team. I've never done ultimate team ever. So I don't know any of that. Other people talk about SBCs, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, I see your lips moving, but I don't understand what you're saying. So as far as it's all, just foreign language to me. Buck says they had Vitinha and Pote. Oh yeah, I remember Podence as at one point. Yeah. Vitinha. I like Vitinha. Really good. So Vandomax says the bug over here is a bad one. I've had it for 2 weeks. Dang, some have had it for 3 weeks. Yikes, man. That's sorry. Hopefully, just chill, rest, drink them fluids, man, and just get some sleep. That's what it was for me all over the weekend. I was just tired all the time. My wife had the same thing a few days before, so obviously I got it from her, but just tired. And I was telling my boy Dylan, you guys remember Dylan this morning. The worst part was just not being able to like exercise and really do stuff, and not being able to like walk the dogs as much and whatnot. So it is what it is. Speaking of dogs, I feel like there's a dog hair on my face. It's what happens when you have dogs and you don't shave for a couple of days. Nick says Wolves could win Portuguese league. Yeah, pretty much, right? And I know that Amorim and Vitor Pereira have a little bit of history there as well, so very, very familiar with each other. Jewel says, I like Cunha and Hwang from Wolves. Haven't seen any of the Wolves this season yet. I haven't watched a ton of them, but they do have a few players that I really like. Like João Gomez, I really, really like. Obviously, Andre came from Fluminense. A lot of people were interested in him. A lot of Cunha talk recently. I know a lot of people in the chat really rate Cunha. I rate him. I worry about his attitude after all that shit went down with Ipswich. Nori, obviously a big name linked with us. Things like that. I think what hurt Wolves a lot was losing Kilman in their defense. He was their captain, and I think that there's a little bit of a lack of discipline in that squad right now, but it's going to happen when you make changes sometimes. Bandomex says, it's fine, just block nose and bad cough. Well, chug that Dayquil, man. Chug it like you're at a frat party. Bach says, yeah, they underachieved lately with the squad they've got. It doesn't help, too, that they've sacked. They keep sacking managers. I think that, managers, you really have to hit the ground running. You really have to do really well. And it is what it is, unfortunately. Bach says, I wanted to buy Raul Jimenez before that terrible head injury. Yeah, is he at Fulham now? Is that where Jimenez is? Again, another one of those traditional kind of number nines that you don't see a whole lot anymore of. I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump over to the Saudi League in the summer. As far as United goes, we just can't seem to put together 2 wins in the league this season. Literally, we haven't won 2 Premier League matches on the bounce all season. I don't know if Rashford's going to be in the squad for this one. If he's not going to be in the squad, I can pretty much say he's played his last match for United. I think if he's going to go this many matches without being part of the squad, so close to January after doing that interview, I think it's just one, put it all together, right? And the writing's on the wall. Times put out a little bit of a blurb yesterday. He said, Time Sports said, Sir Jim and other senior figures at United will leave the decision over Marcus Rashford's future with the club completely in the hands of Ruben Amorim, however. So, and Amorim spoke again today ahead of the match, like, it's my decision. The players know what I want. I talked to all the players. It is what it is. So De Ligt missed the last 2 matches, as we're talking about team news, through illness. Lindelof obviously picked up a little bit of an issue. Probably will be gone. Mount and Shaw still out. I read yesterday that from United Menace, pretty good for injuries and whatnot. That Mount's going to be out 10 weeks with another hamstring injury. Guys, he's got to retire. There's literally, you can't come back from this. Once these hamstring injuries start piling up, that's it. Like, you're done. You need to just go and retire, go play in MLS, go do something. But it's just that is what it is. I'm like jumbling my words right now, but it's a mixture of frustration and just straight up facts. Like, he's not going to come back from that. It would be more newsworthy to say if Mount and Shaw were going to be fit at this point, right? Mount's just got to retire. Go do some punditry for Sky. Go sit on TalkSport. I don't know. You're done, bro. I think that recently, though, we've seen that Amorim's best 11, who they are, where they should play in the pitch. I think hopefully he's starting to get an idea. I think we've all got an idea. It's going to be interesting. Let me jump in the chat here before I show you guys who I'm going with. Jules says, Rashford is definitely gone. Terrible attitude. I have no idea. Like, I wish I could say, like I've said many times, like, I don't like to speak to his attitude, but all I can do is react to what I see. And it's just, it's not looking good, right? My opinion on Rashford has definitely swerved into more negative these days, just with the interview and stuff. I don't know what the issue is. I really don't. Something had to have happened behind the scenes at some point to where he's just like done. And I don't know if it's United, if it's an Amorim thing, if it's United fans. I know the fans were going in on him a little bit last year. I don't know if he's just burned out or if he's just tired of it and he's taking it out on people. Maybe he's just not a mature person. I don't know. Maybe he's surrounded by people who are giving him really bad advice. You could basically pick one of those and it could probably be accurate. I really don't know. It's just a shame that this is the way it's worked out. Dylan jumping in, Merry Christmas all. Dylan just pointed out to me today while he's in the chat. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Dylan pointed out. So apparently, remember last year when the club canceled some of the perks for the FA Cup for like staff and whatnot. Apparently, Bruno Fernandes, when he heard about this, was not too happy and went to the higher ups at the club and wanted to basically to pay for those costs, those perks for the staff out of his own pocket. So Bruno wanted to do that. True captain, true leader. Why people don't rate Bruno, I'll never know. He's all passion. And yes, the passion comes out in whingy ways sometimes, but he's all passion, and you can't ever deny that. But apparently that's what he wanted to do. But reportedly, the club said, no, you're not going to do that, which I don't know how you can tell a player how they can spend their money or not. But apparently he wanted to help out and was told no. So you guys take that any way you want. Lionheart says, all right, mate, good show yesterday. I was listening whilst at work. Congratulations to the winners of the giveaway. Yes, congratulations to Patrick and Usman. Again, hit me up, unitedstatesofunited@gmail.com. You were the winners. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved. Thank you, Carrie, for donating on behalf of, after you were announced the winner. Big up, Carrie, as well. But yes, it was a fun little show, just something to break up the monotony, ahead of the holiday. Nick says, Rashford can join Greenwood at Marseille. Greenwood's kind of doing well over there, but I think we've all kind of moved on. Usman jumping back in the chat. Good to see you. Usman, you did win one of the shirts last night, bud. So hit me up at the United States of United at gmail.com and I will get that to you. Um, Dylan says, let's just make sure we get a halfway decent fee for Rashford. Yeah, I'm I'm torn, right? Because it's like, do you take like 30 million for Rashford now in January just to kind of move everybody on, or do you maybe wait and possibly try to get more in the summer? Um, it depends on where you fall. Like if he's too toxic, if he's too negative, if he's too much of a detriment on and off the pitch in the dressing room, is it a point where you take as much as you can? Like 30 million to me, that seems so low when guys like Emil Smith Rowe are going for a lot more than that. But at the same time, it's prioritized the club. You got to take a little bit of a short term hit. I don't know. You guys let me know where you'd stand on that. Dylan says disgraceful from the club for denying Bruno. Yeah, it wasn't a good look, was it? That's what I texted you. I said not a good look at all. It sounds like Nick agrees. Bach says nice touch by Bruno. It was a nice touch by Bruno. Usman, yes, Usman, you did win the shirt. Let me go find it real quick. Hold up. So Usman, you won this one. It is the 22-23 home shirt. It's a brand new. It is a medium. So that's the shirt that you won, my guy. So congratulations. Again, just let me know where to send it. YouTube's not responsible for the giveaways. They don't like typically when you do giveaways, but so they're not liable. So can't come after YouTube if anything gets lost or anything. And then your information, I have to say this as well. Your information is not going to be used for anything other than sending you the shirt. So, but everyone, yeah, big up Usman. Big up, yeah. And thank you, Usman, for just being a part of the channel, getting involved in the chats and the comments, helping the channel grow. Again, I know I've done more giveaways recently. I just like showing my appreciation for people who help and contribute and just help the channel grow. You guys, you've already gotten us to the point where we can offer memberships. We can do that kind of thing. You've gotten us to 2K so quickly. It took like 8 months, and that's incredible. And I'm blown away by that. That you guys, I'm just so glad to be a part of it. So glad to be able to just interact with you guys. I got people from Africa, Malaysia, Boston, Scotland, like chatting with me. Like it's awesome. I love it. Bach says, ideal world, we would have a bidding war between the top Saudi clubs to sign franchise superstar Rashford. Big monies for us. Yeah, so I said the other day, so Al Nassr are pushing to get rid of Anderson Talisca. I think he's going to go to Besiktas in January. So they're going to have some room in their budget. Now, whether or not that's a Casemiro thing, a Rashford thing, or maybe another player that we haven't even heard about at another club, that could be a good fit for either one, because the Saudi, especially a club like Al Nassr, they're one of the few clubs that are going to be able to afford the wages and whatnot. If we could get rid of Casemiro, though, that hurts us a little more because that leaves us very light in midfield. So it kind of changes the priorities a little bit. But it could be interesting. So I'm going to throw up my starting 11 here for you guys. You guys get in your starting 11. Who would you pick? This is who I'm going to go with for the match on Boxing Day. So this was a hard one to pick, mostly because I'm just like, some players, like I don't have a choice. Like I don't want Xerxes. I mean, if Højlund's going to get to that point as a striker, because he's still young, if he's going to get to that point, he's got to play. As long as he's not going to get injured, he's got to play. And so we're going to go ahead and do that for Højlund. I'm going to start him. No Xerxes, please. Ahmad, I'm putting back at right wing back because I think that we've all seen maybe that's just his better position. He does a little bit more when he's playing at wing back and not as a 10. So I'm going to go ahead and throw him there. And instead, I put Bruno. And the question was, who plays next to Bruno? I went back and forth on Eriksen or Garnacho. I opted for Garnacho because I think that I'd like to just start with a little more energy, a little more pace. And I like Eriksen, and I think he could do a job there, but it depends. Do you want to start with composure, or do you want to start with, energy and then switch over? It's really difficult to make that call. But just, again, who else is there, aside those two to play in that 10 role? Rashford probably not going to play and whatnot. So I'm putting Casemiro and Ugarte in midfield. Casemiro hasn't played in a couple games. Whether there's a reason for that, maybe he said he was leaving, I don't know. But I was surprised to not see him in the last couple of games. Manu did not have a great game. against Bournemouth. He was very sloppy, touch, passing, not able to hold on to the ball. Not his best game. And I'm not saying he's a bad player. It just wasn't his best game. Maybe he's still coming back from injury, still a little rusty. Let's just start Casemiro in there, a little more experience, a little bit more ball knowledge, and let Ugarte take care of the dirty work and run around. The left wing back was probably, aside from, so basically that left 10 and that left wing back spot were the hardest ones for me to pick, simply because the options are very skimp. Malacia still doesn't look great. He's still very hesitant, still a little rusty. I almost went with Anthony on that left-hand slot, and even like Box says, I'd give Anthony a go at wingback. Dallo can have a rest, and that's where I literally had Anthony there, but then I'm like, I feel like if they're both top, like on a good day, I feel like Dallo is still better than Anthony. I worry because of, and the reason I think what got it for me was the counterattack that Wolves have. I don't trust when Anthony gets beat. He'll go to ground and he'll give away a foul. He's not good when it comes to tackling. I'm not saying Dallo's better, but it was just a hard choice. It was like literally just a coin toss. So I could go either way between Dallo and Anthony on the left. Again, Dallo does need a rest, but it's a difficult choice. So again, I opted for Dallo. It wasn't really other than maybe tossing the coin on that one. And sticking with Licha because even though he's in poor form, he's one of our better defenders, and you can't deny it. Now, whether or not that means I think he's as good as we all hoped he was or what he can be is a whole different conversation. But on the day, he's going to be better. I think that what you want is on the ball. If Wolves are going to get as many players in an overload on these sides, then I want to be able to move that ball forward and move it forward quickly. And Licha is one of the few defenders we have who can do that naturally on his left foot. We saw that recently. So we need to expose that if they leave in space behind by overloading in numbers. So it's going to be Licha. If De Ligt is fit, again, I still don't know if De Ligt's going to be fit or not. I guess we'll find out on Thursday. But if he is, I'm starting him. He's had a couple days rest. If he's been fit enough to train, then we're starting him. Maguire, after a great derby, struggled a little bit against Bournemouth. I'm going with De Ligt. And then Jewel says, I'm not sure Yoro was ready for first-team football in the Premier League. I thought he looked really good. And I think that we all kind of struggled against Bournemouth, so it's hard to put that on him. But I think that I don't know if I want Evans playing. I think Yoro is a little bit more composed on the ball. He's actually very, very good on the ball. Again, it's not me being right or wrong. This is just who I'm going with personally. I thought about maybe putting Mazraoui in that right center back spot, but two things with Mazraoui. He looks knackered, for one. He just looks totally exhausted because he's played a lot. And that's just where we are right now in terms of fitness. But at the same time, he's been guilty of a couple of little mistakes. When he gets the ball in and around his own box, for some reason, he always wants to try to dribble across the 18-yard line, and he loses it a lot. He backs himself a little too much in those situations, especially against the high press. And we have conceded possession in that dangerous area a few times because of him doing that in recent matches. So I think he just needs a break. He can be on the bench. I'm not saying just drop him all together. He could be on the bench, but if Yoro is going to be it, I mean, Yoro was starting week in, week out in the French league. Looks like he's hit the ground running coming back. He's a young player, so there are going to be inconsistent performances, the same as we see from Højlund, Garnacho, and Manu, but I think you just have to. We don't have a choice right now, unfortunately. Lionhearts agrees. Again, the question for me is not whether or not he's ready for it week in, week out. It's just based on who we have fit and what's going on. He's just the one that I'm going with personally. Box says, I was thinking Casemiro or Collier as Ugarte's partner. Yeah, Collier was on the bench. I mean, I could easily see him doing that as well. Maybe against a team who sits back, he might be under a little bit of pressure, but at the same time, the energy in midfield and that fight you're going to have in midfield playing against João Gomez and Andre, if Andre starts again, that could be difficult. So it's hard. Again, it's not a right or wrong. It's just like this is who we have right now. Lionhearts thinks Garnacho is the best of a bad bunch. Yeah, Garnacho has what we see from Garnacho on and off the pitch. Now that he's been disciplined a little bit and he sees a situation going on with Rashford and stuff, he's going to have a choice to make. And we talked about that last week. Does he want to just go someplace else or does he want to try and do something at United and be a little humble, stay off social media for a day? Jules says Ahmad is best at right wing back, and also Mas plays best at center back. So winning, yeah, I do think Mezraoui might be a little better as a center back. One of those just more modern center backs who's able to take the ball out and drive out of defense. I just think he's tired. He's played a lot. He's making a lot of sloppy little mistakes in recent weeks. So maybe start him from the bench this time. What else are you guys saying? Hold on. Usman jumping in. He says, Sean, please, if you can, could I have a free membership instead of the T-shirt? I would appreciate that. You want a free membership instead of a T-shirt? I will think about it and see what I do. I'm still figuring out how the membership system works. So if that's what you want, we can look at it and see. And then if I go ahead and look at that, I'm not gonna do it right now live. I'll have to look at it a little bit later on and see how that works. But we'll see what happens. I don't have a problem with it. And then if that's the case, we'll do another giveaway, I guess. You guys are being very generous with your winnings. Bach says, kind of tough to pick a team lately. It's like trying to find the tallest gnomes. Yeah, and that's why it's hard. You guys have seen, I've said it the last couple match previews, it's been very difficult to pick a team, mostly because of the way Amorim's like rotating. And so I've stopped trying to anticipate the starting 11. I've just started picking a start 11 that I would want because it's very difficult to do. Yeah, I'll get you sorted out, Usman. Don't worry. I'll let you know what I decide after looking at it. Again, it's not like a do I want to, or it's just like I don't really know how that stuff works. You guys know I'm not too techie, so I'll find a way to make my computer blow up if I do something wrong. So, but that's the starting 11 I was going to go with. You guys let me know. Would you change anything? Who would be in your starting 11? Let's chat a little bit about the press conferences because a lot was said in this press conferences, specifically about the rotation while we're talking about it. So this is what Ruben Amorim had to say about rotation. So he said, it's not rotation to see the players and prepare for the future. It's simply to not have injuries. So he's basically saying he's trying to just avoid the injuries by overloading the players. He says, I'm trying to manage this team to not have injuries. If we have any injuries, it's a big problem. It is a big problem. I mean, I think it's too difficult to avoid the injuries personally. I don't see a way out of getting injuries. They're going to happen now and then. It is what it is. I think that part of it, a lot of that pressure needs to go on the medical staff. I think the medical staff has got blood on its hands when it comes to a lot of these players. This is why when I'm looking at the players we're linked with, like Alphonso Davies and whatnot, a big part of me, even if it's just an instinct or a subconscious thing, doesn't want to deal with more injury-prone players because I don't trust our medical staff. You guys ever go to like a haunted house on Halloween and you walk through and there's like always one area where it's like this haunted hospital or something where there's just like demon like nurses or whatever and doctors and torture. That's what I picture when I think about our medical staff right now. Like just they're doing more harm than good. It's a little bit ridiculous. Jules says there's not many players you could be considered starters. Really, Ugarte is the first name on the team sheet for me. Yeah, Ugarte for sure. Week in, week out. Ahmad probably would be right up there for me personally. I think those are the only two that have been able to really show that they can handle it. They both give 110%. They both can run for 90 minutes. I don't know what Amorim was on saying that Ugarte needs more time, but Box agrees with you, Jules, about Ugarte. Yeah, I like Ugarte. I liked him at Sporting. Didn't really get a whole lot of time at PSG. Got more than I think some people realize, but he clearly wasn't the top choice, and I thought it was a good buy in the summer. Bach says Ugarte, Ahmad, De Ligt, Mazraoui, Fernandez, probably my 5. I'd base my team around in the short term. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Bruno in the future. Lionheart says Ugarte and Cass are very yellow card prone. They are, but and if that was part of why Ugarte got taken off the other day over Manu, who I thought was having a worse game. It is what it is. I don't agree with it. I think we've seen that Ugarte and Casemiro can get yellow cards and avoid getting sent off. It's going to happen, especially against Wolves, that midfield. It's going to be a friggin' slugfest in midfield with João Gomez, Andre, and whatnot in our midfield. But we need to match that. We need to match the energy, the physicality. We need to match the speed, whether it's passing, running, just intensity. We have to do better. We've not done a good enough job in terms of the physicality. We have lost a lot of ground duels, a lot of aerial duels. We're just not doing it. Not Scouse tears today, just regular water. Usman says, I agree with Amram because we had so much injuries last season. We did. And we have a lot of injury-prone players. I don't feel like the players need to be coddled that much in terms of fitness. I really don't. Personally, yes, I've said many times that there's a lot of football being played these days, and I fully believe that. I don't think some of these players are going to be as prone to picking up injuries as we think, and I think that to me it's okay. I don't necessarily disagree with like taking Garcia off early if we're up by a couple goals or whatever. If that's the case, I don't agree. I just don't like the constant chopping and changing to the starting 11. I don't think you need to just do that frequently to the starting 11. I think that can hurt the momentum and the rhythm, especially this early on with a new system and whatnot. Bandomax says, hopefully we'll get a more settled side once the crazy amounts of games calms down. Well, we've chopped 2 games off of our fixture list right away by going out in the League Cup to Spurs. So there's 2 midweek games gone. I was really hoping that we could be qualified for the next round in the Europa League by now, so we can at least kind of just rotate the squad heavily in that for the last couple of games. Obviously, we gave ourselves a bit more work to do there to make sure that's a reality, but those draws killed us. But hopefully we can do something. Jules says our medical department reminds me of a hospital from Silent Hill, right? There's a shout out. Legends will know that reference. Jules agrees with you, Box, on your 5 picks for undroppables at the moment. So yeah, we've got some good players. We just don't have enough good players. And again, to me, like I've said, it's a mentality thing for me. Jules says Ugarte has proven he can walk the yellow card tightrope. He doesn't worry me. I think he can. I think that a lot of it is going to be just the players ahead of him being able to do their job. Because if he's constantly having to mop up because we were making poor decisions, we're holding on to the ball too long, we're losing possession and stuff, and he's constantly then if I'm him, I'm getting mad. It's like when you get a corner and your center backs all run up and then you can't beat the first man or something, or it goes way over everybody. Like if I'm a center back in that situation, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Looking at you, Bruno, because your corners are shit. Bandomac says, though, looking at the January schedule, it looks just as bad. Yeah, we know it tends to get busy around this time of year. January schedule is going to be rough. I think, yeah, we've got a couple even Premier. It's like even the games that I'm going to in January are 2 back-to-back Premier League games. So there's Premier League games that are already getting squeezed together pretty closely. Thankfully, no Europa League for a little while, but I think that it's just hard. I think this is where you get into that awkward conversation when it comes to League Cup, FA Cup, all this stuff. And it's the international schedule that frustrates me. And then obviously the new UEFA schedule for Europa League and Champions League means there's more matches as well. So that doesn't help. And it is what it is. I agree that there's too much football, but I think at the same time, some of the players can probably do more. Rich, good to see you, my friend. Hopefully you're having a good Christmas Eve, chilling with the fam. Just logged on today. Yeah, man, we're just rolling on with the preview today. But big up, Rich, for joining us. Good to see you, my friend. Box says, do the club use any sports psychologists? I think of all the teams in the world who would benefit, it would be us. So the club, so when I met with the head of the PFA before to interview for the program, he told me that there are only 2 clubs in the Premier League that have full-time sports psychology departments, and the 2 clubs that are doing it are also conveniently 2 of the most successful clubs in the recent years, and that's Liverpool and Manchester City. Now, Liverpool's psychologist is part of the program. He's speaking and doing seminars and stuff, so it's interesting to get his take on things. But we hired basically a on-call, like part-time kind of consulting kind of thing at United a few years back, but I don't think it's nearly good enough. What you're seeing now is a lot more clubs are picking up on it. So I look at websites all the time on sports psychology jobs in the UK. A lot more clubs are not only starting to do this, they're starting to hire for the academy level. So United actually hired an academy psychologist a few months ago as well. They had that position up for a while. A lot of times, Ipswich Town were recently hiring, West Brom were recently hiring, those kind of things. And I look at them all. But my wife doesn't want to move to the UK, so I'm not gonna be able to apply for them right now. I'm hoping that maybe I can convince some clubs over here, some MLS sides, maybe to look into that in the future. Maybe I can parlay that into a position. Rich United TV says, I don't want to do a Luca, but I'll be doing the last quick one before Christmas at 6 p.m. today. Awesome, man. So Yeah, you guys go check out Rich's channel a little later on, um, and get involved there. Rich just throwing out the love here. So Jules, yeah, we brought a sports scientist. Not quite the same. It's kind of like sports scientist is kind of like that in the middle between like your physio and your psychologist. They all what's going to happen when you have a department involved, and if you look at some of the job descriptions when they post these, they all work together as part of a team. It's a very holistic kind of team oriented department. You're working in conjunction with each other, from the physios to the nutritionists to the psychologist, all this kind of stuff. The sports scientists, they're all supposed to be working together in conjunction with the coaching staff and what. So the psychology aspect is very new, but it all works together, and it's gonna be a struggle. Again, clubs, managers, players, they're not experts in this, so there is a little bit of a training wheels process and part of it is being open to being involved in whatever capacity you as a manager are, but also learning to trust these people that you have and allowing them to do their job as well. It's a very fine line to navigate. And so, it's something I would love to be a part of in the future. That's why I'm in the program for the emotional intelligence leadership and football psychology with the PFA. That's going to be another like 8 months of that program, but it's been a blast so far. It's been really cool. And yeah, Rich, we do cut corners. We do that at the club. I'm not going to get started on the way the women's team has been treated over the years. That is a shit show. Nick says Liverpool psychologists are doing a good job this season. Apparently, yeah, they've got some. I think his name is Lee Richardson. I think is the guy. Funny guy. Bach says, yeah, half measures. It is a bunch of half measures, man. Usman wants to know your channel name, Rich. Let him know. It is United TV. So go check that out when you guys were done here. We're going to go through a little bit more and then we'll move on because I want to talk about Amorim's press conference. Jules says team aspect is key. Taking advice from only one side results in the suboptimal outcomes. Yeah, and the way to look at it, it's like look at nutrition, the coaching, the physio, all that. Look at nutrition, physio, coaching, and then like the sports scientists and psychology. Look at those three kind of separate areas as three legs of a stool. If one leg is too short or too long, then it puts the whole thing off balance. There's a way for it all to work together, and I think the real difficulty is figuring out what that looks like because it is different because everybody's different. But then when you add the intricacies and the complexities of working with individuals like the players and some of their unique personalities, some of their unique struggles and backgrounds, that all plays into it. It's complicated. I can tell you as a therapist, as a mental health professional myself, I'm telling you from experience, each and every one of us is just walking around as a giant knot, a tangled knot of string. And it's just, my job is to kind of help unravel that a little bit. And I'm part of that process. I'm in it with people. So I'm right there with you. It's not easy, but it is what it is. Great analogy, Sal. Thanks. I'm actually pretty decent at analogies. I've been told that by some clients as well. It's just, because I also have a degree in writing, so like creative writing background. So I think that's part of it. And like my minor for my undergrad was in advertising. So those little things I will say I'm pretty decent at. And I do think it just helps clarify things a little bit sometimes. But Rich says RD United TV is the official name. Just call it United TV at the moment. Yeah, big up, Rich, doing the Lord's work, getting more United fan content out there. So according to the press conference, DeLitt was sick. Maguire did 90 minutes against City. He can't play 3 days because it's just 3 months and only did 90 minutes. So we have to rotate him during the week. And today he is playing. Kabi Manu played. He returned from injury, so I think if he's ready to cope with both games. So sometimes I have to play 2 games in the same moment. Amorim said Højlund played 2 games, the third game today. I think we needed fresh legs. So again, he's referring to the match we just played, United. He was asked about just, again, more rotation. He says, I just want to win games because I know that there's a long-term project and we are focused on that. But he says, I know that at big clubs you don't have a lot of time and you have to win games. So he says, I have a clear idea of the responsibility I have, but I'm just trying not to have injuries. He says, I just want to win games and not have injuries. Don't we all, right? It is what it is. Jules says, in your opinion, do you think Marcus's problems could be helped significantly by a sports psychologist? I think a lot of people's struggles mentally, emotionally, personally can be helped with a psychologist. It's just they have to be willing to do that. It's not so easy all the time. If you're not willing to be open, willing to make changes, willing to take ownership of your role in your circumstances. And that doesn't mean it's all your fault. It's just oftentimes we do have a role, and there are things about ourselves that we need to change. And it's not necessarily because we're doing anything poorly. Sometimes it's circumstantial. If you have a rough situation, like at home, for instance, and you have a really traumatic experience, that impacts the way you basically grow up if it's not addressed at a young age. That will impact your worldview, the way you interact with people, the way you feel about yourself. All that plays a role. Now, we know Marcus had a lot of struggles growing up, and I'm not going to say with any sort of expertise or any sort of knowledge on that subject, because I don't know, but it's just, does he want to, and does he have access to that? He doesn't have to go through the club psychologist either. He has the money, he has the resource, he can see whoever he wants to. Now, I'm not sure how mental health works in the UK compared to here in the US, but it's just, you're not going to know unless you try. And taking that first step towards exploring that is a hard step. It is a scary step. It is a step that forces you to confront a lot of that stuff and really expose those wounds, but it is the most important step. And once you take it and you realize it's not that scary, it gives you a little bit of confidence to maybe hopefully take the next step and the next step. It's one step at a time. It's one day at a time. It's not easy for sure. And like I said yesterday, sometimes it's kind of like having to go and re-break a broken leg that never healed properly in order to get it to heal properly. There is going to be a little pain. It is going to suck, but in the long term, it could be really good. And I think that the fear of what might happen in when it comes to exploring that should never keep you from realizing what can happen when you're exploring that. Because the only thing that's worse than everybody knowing your business is nobody knowing your business. There's got to be somebody you can talk to, right? But that's my little spiel on that. Buck says, I think so, Jules. I thought he mastered it in the 22-23 season when he introduced that celebration. And here's the thing, too. If you're only in a good spot when things are going well and you haven't really worked on any sort of resilience, you guys have heard me speak about resilience plenty of times. If you're not working on the resilience aspect of things, how do you respond when you make a mistake? How do you respond when seasons don't go well? How do you respond when you're not in a good form and nothing seems to be working, nothing seems to be clicking, you just can't get it going? How do you handle those? That's the resilience aspect, and I've spoken about that many times on the channel. United TV says, to be honest, Jules, I think they just want to buy a different player, and Rash has to be sold to play for it. It could be that simple as well, Rich. Maybe I think this has more to do with Rashford wanting to leave than anything. I think he's made it pretty clear, both in his off-pitch behavior, his on-pitch body language. Obviously, the interview with Henry Winter, I think we've kind of seen just whether it's burnout, whether he just wants to change of pace, whatever. I don't know the reasons, but it's clear that that's what he wants. So Jules has got to go. Fantastic show. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Jules, for stopping by. Enjoy your Christmas, my friend. Good to see you again. Composed V says, you're right. I'd even add that everyone needs therapy once a year, even if your life is going as planned. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to open up to a total stranger, but I think it could help sometimes. But that's it for me on that one. Amorim was asked about support from fans, and I think he gets it. He gets how important the fans are. He says, the fans aren't responsible. This is just from us. He said, I cannot say better things about the fans. What I'm trying to say to the fans is that we understand. We understand how you feel. I understand as a coach. I understand the moment. I understand the frustration, the disappointment. I understand, and we will improve. It will take time. He said, remember we put that up yesterday, a little reminder. He said you have to be in a place where you have to decide either you're going to take risks and move forward and suffer, or if you're going to do the same thing that you've been doing and just be in the same spot in a year. He said, I know it's really going to be tough, but I think it's important for us that in this side to say that supporters that we understand. I understand. He says the fans are incredible. The support we have, we are doing a season that maybe we cannot see for long years, and we know that. But he says, I know it's just from us. The fans need our help, not the other way around. The fans are doing everything right. So a little bit of lip service from the fans, but he's telling us what we want to hear, right? And, yeah, happy Christmas, Jules. Thank you, my friend. So I don't want to talk too much about the Rashford stuff, but I thought just in general, the Rashford questions are ironic. So Amorim was literally asked, do you find that Rashford is a distraction? And I thought that was such an ironic question to ask, because so one of you asked a couple of days ago if I thought the same thing. Do I think the Rashford stuff has been a distraction? And I said, the media are the only ones who are making it distraction. And again, this question being asked by Amorim for like the fourth straight presser, like a handful of times, is again just another example of why that's so ironic. And this is how, like, the guy has given interview after interview after interview and has been asked about Rashford a handful of times each presser since that Derby day. He dropped Rashford. He did what he needed to do. He's politely and, in my opinion, tactfully tried to steer these press conferences in a different direction or back onto the match or on the players who are here instead of always talking about Rashford. And the press just keep digging. I can never be a manager, and this right here is another example of why. Besides knowing fuck all about being a manager, this right here, because I would not be able to have a filter with these kind of questions. If someone like Samuel Butthurst was asking questions in the presser, I would just stare him down. If I'm sitting here and telling people, and this is why I get frustrated with this as a person. I hate having to repeat myself. If I'm telling you guys, oh, let's talk about this match, and someone keeps asking about Rashford, and I said, I don't want to talk about Rashford, let's do this, and someone keeps asking, it's going to get to a point where it's going to get uncomfortable for everybody in the press conference, because I'm either going to go off or I'm just going to stare at this person for like minutes of silence until it gets so awkward and uncomfortable that the presser is just canceled altogether. Like, I can't do that kind of stuff. Whether it be a player or a manager, I would get so frustrated so quickly. Bach says we need to ban certain topics at pressers. Honestly, here's what I would do. And I agree, certain topics, certain journos. I would start the presser saying, listen, I'm not going to answer any questions about Rashford. And I'm going to say that now because the first person who asked me a question about Rashford, we're cutting the press conference short right then and there. So think long and hard about if you have any other questions that you'd like to be asked, and think long and hard about if it's worth it to put all that at risk to ask a question about Marcus Rashford. I would give zero fucks if we canceled the presser that early, honestly. Composed View says, another thing I admire about Ruben Amorim is he took some psychology classes. I think I heard him say that in one of his interviews. Yeah, so like the PFA course is part of like an overall. There's a lot of coaches in the course. Graham Potter came the first day to speak for a couple hours about building cultures and stuff. A lot of it's for a lot of coaches, it's part of their badges and whatnot, which is good. I think it's important. Amorim is very good at communicating, very good at man management, very good at that kind of thing, and that's probably a big part of it. I think that it's a good skill to have. You don't have to be a master in it as a coach, but it's a good skill to work on. And he said, and Amorim again responded to the Rashford thing. He says, no, I don't think so, as a distraction. Not for me, not for the other players, because everybody is there every day training, so they understand. He's saying everybody's training, so clearly it's not a distraction. He says, for the media and the other people, it is a distraction. And he says, I can't control that. But I'm focused, so he's not a distraction for us. Maybe it is for the media, but that's not my concern. I love that. That's so funny. So a lot of stuff here. He was asked a big question here, and I'll read you the question, and I'll read you his response. He says, he was asked, you have talked about low points. You are 13th in the league. It's not all on you, obviously, but Bournemouth have a capacity stadium of 13,000, and they are now 5th. Why are United 13th in the Premier League? Real Madrid or Bayern Munich wouldn't be 13th. He said it's a difficult question to answer. We have to know that we don't let this be normal. I understand that it's a tough moment, and it's on me. Since the first day that I arrived, it's on me because I'm responsible for the team. So we cannot think about that. We just have to think about improving to understand the context and not focus on what happened in the past. The present is this. What we have to do for the future is make this not happen again. If I knew I will solve all the problems of this club, I know what I'm going to do. It's so clear for me. That's why I think I'm feeling not relaxed, because I'm really frustrated, also like the fans. But I know what to do. We have to solve some problems step by step, finding answers for everything. But it's a very difficult moment. We understand the fans, and we will fight that. So good question, good response. He takes responsibility. He says, there is context. There's a lot going on. But he says, we know what we have to do. We're working on it. And he's said many times, it's not going to be an overnight process. Usman says, Amorim also said he has no problem with Rashford and he wants to make him bigger. Yeah. And he's throwing out a challenge. Like, Rashford talks about, maybe I want a new challenge. This could be the challenge. New manager, new system, new role in the team. This could be the challenge. The challenge could be to step up. The challenge could be to mature a little bit, to make better decisions. The challenge could be to be selfless and take on the hard challenge instead of maybe the easy way out. That could be the challenge that Rashford could take on. It's up to him. Of course, every manager wants to help every player. Every manager wants to make them better, but you can only go so far. They have to want it for themselves. Jules asked about being a psychologist. I can want to help the client, but I can't want to help the client more than the client wants to help themselves, if that makes sense. There's two people involved. You have to want it. Um, so we are still just 9 points off the top 4 right now, but it's been one step forward, 2 steps back the way we've been playing. Does anyone really think we're going to finish in the top 4? I think a win and some results going our way on Thursday could put us up to 9th, right? But that's wishful thinking right now. I think we've given ourselves a big hill to climb, just like we did against Spurs in that match. I don't really like relying on other sides to drop points. You guys know that. I think at a certain point, though, it does get out of your hands. All you can do, and really all you should do, is worry about your own form. Worry about eliminating the simple errors, eliminating the mistakes, being more clinical in front of goal, being more focused and switched on, defending in your own box. You have to start with the little things, and the little things will add up and become bigger. What are you guys thinking for results on this one? Let me know your score predictions. Bandomax says, I love how he answers questions. It gives me a lot of confidence. Yeah, he's a very good communicator. He was like that at Sporting as well. If you guys remember the deep dive I did on Ruben Amorim's profile in the spring when we were linked with him, that was one of the points I made. He's a very, very good communicator. He's very humble, but he's direct and stuff. And so he's good. I think it's easy to look at that compared to Ten Hag and get really hyped. I think that Ten Hag was just a different style of communicator. Maybe the English was, maybe it's a personality thing. It is what it is, but he's definitely a breath of fresh air, Ruben Amorim. Dylan says, focus on Europa League and Premier League stabilization. We've got a couple matches to fix up on this Europa League, and then hopefully we can kind of regroup there. I just like us to get qualified. We can't drop out of the Europa League this early. I'd be pissed off. Usman says, I don't think we'll finish top 4. I don't think we're going to finish top 4. Bach says, I could see us finishing 7th, 10th, to be honest. Yeah, I said on Rich's channel when I was a guest on there the other day that I think it's going to be like 7th, 8th, maybe even 9th, depending. It's just, we're at a point, yes, the table is still tight, but you're asking all these other teams above us to consistently be worse than us and for us to consistently be better. And I don't see both those things happening. So Dylan says, new manager bounce gives Wolf confidence. Going to be tough. It is going to be tough. It will be tough. I think it's a big ask right now. We don't do well traveling. They have a new manager. They're in a bit of a run of form. They just had that win. Who knows? I really don't know. I think Cunha potentially being banned could help us. But again, we can't worry so much on other teams' injuries or suspension, just like I can't worry so much on other teams in the table. We can only control ourselves. Rich says, top 4 stretch, 6th, 7th more likely. We'll see. I don't think the top half of the table is going to look anything like it does now by the end of the season. I don't see teams like Bournemouth and Forest being up in those Europa League spots, but I've been wrong about stuff in the past. It is what it is. Usman says, Amorim said he's not really bothered that much about the other competition. She just wants to focus on the Premier League. I mean, I'd like us to maybe focus on Europa League a little bit, because that might be our only chance at qualifying for Champions League next year if we can win that. And I think we do have a good chance of winning that. Spurs were the favorites going into that competition when the draw was made. I think that their form, though, has really dipped off, and I'd be surprised to see what the bookies say now. I don't think we're anywhere near the favorites. Galatasaray are probably got to be up there as well. Bach says, I'd take 7th in the Europa League Cup, Rich, right now. Honestly, Box, I might agree with you. If someone said, hey, you can get 7th in Europa League and you're going to win the Europa League right now, and I could save myself a little bit of frustration and not feeling like I'm getting dick punched by Wolverine every week when I watch this side, I would take it right now. Usman says, I think we might get a draw 2-2. Usman and Dylan say 2-2 draw. That is actually what I have in my prediction. I'm calling a 2-2 draw. I do think that we will get back to scoring, but I think that, again, it's going to take a while for us to iron out those errors in defense. The cutback goal did us against Bournemouth. The set-piece goal did us against Bournemouth. Poor clearances did us against Bournemouth. It's those errors that we can't quite seem to get out of our system right now, and that's a mentality thing. That's a not putting your boot through it in your own box to clear the danger. That's not being switched on. That's not communicating, not attacking the ball. That's a mentality thing, and we have to get better at that. Whether that means the players we have need to get better, maybe that means we have to replace them with players who do have that X factor. It's anyone's guess. Yeah, Dylan, sorry. That's kind of what it felt like watching Bournemouth. I'm not going to lie. Bach says, red tinted specs. I'll go 2-1 United. I like your optimism. You sound a lot like G Wolf. G Wolf on Rich's channel is predicting top 4. I don't think that's going to happen. Nick says 2-1. 2-1 Wolves or 2-1 United, Nick? You let me know. I'm going to leave it there, though, you guys, because we've been here a minute and it's Christmas Eve and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do appreciate you stopping by. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you are new. And if you get time, go check out what the memberships offer. Again, no one's putting a gun to your head. No one's doing anything like that. But I'm so happy to be able to offer that now and give back a little bit more in some perks. There are some fun emojis on there. There are all sorts of fun things going on. So take a look at that. And then, enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy your holiday. Enjoy your New Year. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do a watch along for the Boxing Day match against Wolves or not. If you guys are going to be available, I'll go ahead and do that. But you guys let me know. Usman, I'll get to it. Right, I'll get to it. I'll think about it today. I'm not going to think about it right this second, but I'll look at it. It's more, like I said, it's more about me just looking at the technical stuff on how to do that. I don't even know how to give people memberships, man. I just got the membership stuff activated today, so Rich is going with 2-1 United. We'll see. We will see. The new manager bounce hurts us, but hopefully, it's always a battle between the head and the heart. My head says 2-2. Heart says 2-1. Dylan says, have a good holiday. You too, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully see you soon, my guy. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy your Christmas Eve. Enjoy your Christmas. And I will see you guys on the next one. Later.